Hey folks, David Stewart here. Time to talk about the coronavirus and what it's like to have it. Because yes, I had the coronavirus. People were wondering where I went for like 2 weeks in July. Well, I was sick. So I thought I would do a video specifically talking about what it was like to have the coronavirus, what the symptoms were like, how we got it, all that kind of stuff, including some lasting effects now about a month after the fact. So let me talk about that. I did talk about it in some live streams, so this is probably just repeat information if you watched any of those. So yes, I got coronavirus. How did I get it? Well, I got it from my son. How he got it, we're not really certain. He might have got it from other kids he was playing with. It might have been on something that he touched. We don't really know. But I did not get it like randomly. I got it really from my son. So it came through my son, who doesn't really leave the house or engage in all of the precautionary practices that are normally, so they normally tell you to do, like wear a mask and wash your hands. It's like wash your hands, wear gloves, whatever, which is something I do when I was shopping, because I also shop for elderly in-laws that have, let's say, weak immune systems. So I take a lot of precautions when I was going out and shopping for them. Anyway, so my son got sick. We didn't think it was coronavirus because it didn't last very long. He was only sick for about 12 hours, like half a day. He felt real sick. He had a fever. And so we just had him like eat Pedialyte popsicles and like watch movies. And then he was better at night. And my wife was really freaking out. What if it's coronavirus? What if it's coronavirus? Like if it's coronavirus, whatever, it's not really a danger to kids. Kids don't really get that sick from it. And indeed, he didn't get that sick from it. I said, it's probably just a cold. He was playing with his cousins like the weekend before for 4th of July in a couple different places. He probably picked it up from another kid, right? That's probably what happened. So then I got sick and my wife got sick. And that's when we actually got a little bit worried about this, because it was a really high fever that would not respond very well to drugs. So I would have to take Tylenol and ibuprofen, basically alternating them like every 2 hours to try to get the fever down below 102. So it was really high for me, and I'm an adult man that doesn't usually run fever. So that was a little bit frightening, but that lasted for about 3 days. Now I will mention I went to the doctor, not for the coronavirus, actually. I went to the doctor because I had a corneal abrasion. That's why I wasn't filming videos. I had this awful weeping red eye, and it's like something's wrong with my eye. I went to the doctor. She's like, you have a corneal abrasion. Put these eye drops in it. Then after that, I got sick. So it was like a couple days delayed. If I just gone in, if I just waited 2 days, they could have confirmed it was coronavirus. So I figured it was. My wife got tested. We had to wait days for it to come back. But the doctors, when my wife went to get tested, the doctor basically said, that's really all we're seeing right now. We're not seeing a lot of other stuff. People aren't getting really sick with a lot of stuff, and they're not coming in when they are sick, except when it's this really bad one, when it's coronavirus. So that's what we operated under. Fever lasted about 3 days. I didn't start feeling truly bad basically until the fever broke. So the fever broke after about 3 or 4 days, and I felt okay. I was laying down to sleep, and I woke up at like 3 in the morning with COVID symptoms, with the SARS symptoms. I couldn't breathe. I was coughing really bad. My lungs hurt. It was like a bunch of, little shards of metal inside of my lungs is what it felt like. I was coughing really bad. I started coughing up blood, and I went to the hospital the next day, and they basically wouldn't keep me there. They wouldn't listen to my lungs. They wouldn't do anything. They put an oxygen monitor on me, and they said, your oxygen is good enough. We're not going to treat you as if you have pneumonia. If you had pneumonia, it'd be lower. And it's like, but I'm having all these other symptoms, and they're like, it's bronchitis. The doctor didn't even want to touch me. They put me in like an isolated room. They came in with like shields and like N95 masks, which, by the way, I had a bunch of these way before the pandemic hit, because I knew this was going to happen. So I have like stacks of those. But anyway, so doctor, they kicked me out and stuck a Q-tip up my nose to test me. Came back positive a couple days later after I was better. So the entire thing really of miserable symptoms. It was fever that was pretty bad for a couple days. Then I had really bad cough for about 3 or 4 days. They gave me a Z-Pack, didn't really seem to do anything. and put me on a really high dose of ibuprofen for the inflammation. That's probably what the bleeding was from, was my larynx, which I couldn't talk during that time, was probably so inflamed from the harsh coughing. I have a really big lung capacity. I tend to cough really hard. Probably was like traumatized from the hard coughing. That's why there was blood coming up with the mucus. So it put me on like a prescription dose of ibuprofen. It seemed to help with the inflammation pretty significantly, got rid of the headache. So the whole thing was about 7 days. My daughter got sick during that time too. She had a fever for about 2 days. Then she was over it. She had like a mild cough while she had it too. So she's 1 year old. I think she's 16 months old. Didn't really affect her very much either. So the kids, no big deal. Just like any other little kid cold. For adults, it was a much bigger deal. I can easily see how somebody who's old or is not in the best shape or is not in good health, that they could end up in the hospital with coronavirus. I could easily see that, because especially once the fever broke and the SARS symptoms started, it was so painful. If I was not already in good health going into that, I could easily see how someone could end up on a ventilator. Like you couldn't breathe, constantly feeling like you're out of breath. So that was the 7-ish days of problems. Now then I had bronchitis, and that bronchitis lasted an extra about 2 weeks. And, I could have gone back in and gotten more antibiotics for the bronchitis. But here's the thing it turns out about bronchitis is that antibiotics are just not very effective on bronchitis. They'll shorten the duration of bronchitis by like 1 day, typically. So just didn't bother with the antibiotics. Bronchitis mostly went away on its own. Lingering effects. So here's the stuff that is more lingering. The first one is diminished cardiovascular capacity. So when I started to try to exercise again a couple weeks ago, it's like I'd never exercised before. I was like really out of breath doing very mild work on my stationary bike or running a fairly short distance. I'm used to being a runner. I like to go running. I like to do cardio. It was really tough. And same thing when it came to resistance training. It's like just being completely gassed after like a set of push-ups was really kind of shocking. It made me feel like I was 300 pounds again, like I was really fat. So it just significantly reduced my cardio capacity. It's starting to come back. I lost my sense of smell. That has since come back. No sense of smell lasted about 2 weeks. For my wife, it lasted a little longer, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, and then it started to come back. I feel like my sense of smell is about normal. I didn't really pay attention to like how pungently I could smell things beforehand, but I could smell things now, so that mostly came back. Here's one that's weird: is hair loss. My wife noticed this. She's like, "Are you going bald or something? Like there's piles of hair in the shower." And I'm like, "No, I think it's just I wasn't showering every day, and when you shower, you kind of pull out the loose hair." And it's like, took a look, and it's like, no, my hair is thinning all over my head. A bunch of my hair fell out, and it's the hair loss has slowed down, I think, but huge amounts of my hair fell out, so that my hair is like way thinner than it was prior to this. And you can like see my scalp just a lot more here. I don't really have like really strong male pattern baldness. I have a big forehead, but I've always had that, guys. That's not like me going bald or anything. But the hair has thinned, and it's thinned more in the in the male pattern areas, like back here. It's a little thinner. I'm not bald or anything, and it's a little thinner maybe here. But it thinned basically all over my head, and my hair, my super thick hair that everyone talks about, it's way thinner now. Like a bunch of my hair fell out, and it still is falling out at a bit of an increased rate. My wife said it was like after I gave birth, because after she gave birth, like all her hair started falling out from the hormones. You have all these, you're just pumped up full of hormones when you're pregnant, because your placenta is just filling your body with all kinds of progestin and stuff, and it makes your hair grow thicker. And then when it goes away, the hair falls out. So there's lots of little androgen receptors up in your scalp, and I don't know what's going on with after the virus effects, but like my hair fell out. So hair loss is the main thing, and then reduced cardio capacity after the fact. And I don't think I have, I haven't gone in for chest x-rays because I didn't really get bad enough to justify that. I don't know if there's like lung scarring or something like that. It doesn't hurt to breathe. I feel like I'm out of shape, and I'm having to get back into shape. It's like it's like I took 2 years off from exercising or something. That's what it feels like. So those are the lasting effects. The hair loss was a weird one. And apparently that's one that's pretty common. Women have their hair fall out and stuff after getting coronavirus. So anyway, it's something that you don't want to get. You want to avoid it if you can. You want to take your basic precautions to avoid it. And if you do get it, if you're in good health, you're probably going to be okay. But I can easily see how if you're not in the best health, if you're obese or you have pre-existing health conditions, you really don't want to get this because it could put you in the hospital or, possibly even kill you, right? I could easily see how somebody who's maybe a little bit weaker, older, something like that could get this and end up in the hospital on a ventilator very easily. That's how bad it was. Probably like the worst respiratory feeling I've had in my life, but luckily it didn't last that long. It only lasted a couple of days, and then I really started to get a lot better. So thanks so much for watching this little video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to support me, you can buy some books. So this one, Keys to Prolific Creativity, help you establish your creative process, find more time to do more work, and enjoy that work and complete your projects. Crown of Sight, this is just one I had on hand. You can actually get this one for free in the Corona anthology, which is behind me back there. So you can get that one for free there. Coronavirus put this huge dent in my plans for the summer because I had planned on doing a big sprint on this new book I'm writing, this fantasy book, Third Eternal Dream book. I don't know if I have some of the other ones. Tyrant's Gallow, that's technically the newest book that's out now, but it's book 2 of this series, Moonsong series. So get this one and then get this one. But that put a dent in it. I couldn't work for 2 weeks because I was feeling awful and needing to rest all the time, and I still had to take care of kids. In fact, I had to sleep in the extra bedroom for a while because I was coughing so bad it would just keep up my wife and my baby. But I'm also thankful for that time because it forced me to consume some more art, to just play some games and read more books. And so I'm actually kind of thankful for kind of being out of commission for 2 weeks because it forced me to take a step back from working so hard and being able to take some time and do something fun. Got to play a lot of games, and that was a cool time too. So it's not all bad. There's definitely a positive in being able to take some time and creatively recharge. But now I have to completely readjust the second half of my year because I'm not going to be able to finish that huge long book draft in time to get my other products ready for sale and get those out too. So I don't know. I'm not sure what books are going to come out later or if I'll do an album or something like that. But anyway, thought you guys might be interested in that. That was my experience with coronavirus. And if you got it, let me know how you did with it. So yeah, I recommend that you avoid getting it if you can. It is something that is very, very unpleasant to experience even if you're in good health. So thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time.